The time is precisely 6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Dilini Gunawardena and read by Rumesh Piris. The headlines. Iranian Foreign Minister discusses Persian Gulf's crucial role in broader Indian Ocean security with the President. International Mother Language Day is celebrated. A heat advisory is issued for 6 districts of the island. The opposition leader says that the Aswasama welfare scheme is a failure. A special medical team is to visit the island in order to support eliminating leprosy. In foreign news, the ICJ hearings on Israel's occupation of Palestine continue for the 3rd consecutive day. In sports, it's cricket. Legends Cricket Trophy 2024 is to be held in Sri Lanka. Now the local news in detail. Iran's Minister of Foreign Affairs Hossein Amir-Abdollahian engaged in discussions with President Ranil Wickremesinghe during an official visit to Sri Lanka. The meeting, held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday evening, centered on key issues including the ongoing violence in Gaza and opportunities for enhancing bilateral cooperation. President Wickremesinghe reiterated the Sri Lankan government's firm stance on the Gaza conflict, emphasizing the immediate necessity for violence cessation and the urgent need for a peace settlement. He underscored the principle that any peace agreement must be inclusive and not based solely on the demands of either side. Additionally, the President proposed the establishment of a Palestinian state within a time frame of 5 years, ensuring the security of both Palestine and Israel. Highlighting Sri Lanka's strategic position in the Indian Ocean, President Wickremesinghe emphasized the nation's commitment to ensuring freedom of navigation, particularly in the Persian Gulf. He stressed the vital role of the Persian Gulf in the broader context of Indian Ocean security. In response, Minister Amir-Abdollahian expressed Iran's dedication to fostering tourism to Sri Lanka and strengthening cultural ties between the two nations. He further conveyed Iran's eagerness to explore avenues for expanded economic cooperation with Sri Lanka. Premier Dinesh Gunawardena said that the main reason for the delays occurred in the judiciary system is the lack of translators in the system. Some of the government bodies have to seek the help of retired translators. The Premier made these remarks at the Progress Review meeting held at the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government to mark the International Mother Language Day. He further pointed out that innovative thinking should be encouraged regarding the method adopted so far on the usage of the language. The officials were also instructed to submit proposals to make positive changes in the translator service so as to make it more efficient. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board has urged the public to use water sparingly due to the current situation. The primary concern stems from the declining water level in the Kalani River, a critical source of water for Colombo and surrounding areas. The dry weather has caused a reduction in river flow, impacting the water intake for distribution. Accordingly, the Water Board has begun construction of a temporary intake barrier across the Kalani River. This initiative aims to alleviate obstacles to water supply and ensure continued distribution during the dry season. Meanwhile, the Med Department has issued a heat advisory for 6 districts of the island, namely Kurunegala, Puttlam, Gampaha, Colombo, Hambantota and Munaragala. In addition, high temperature is reported from the Anuradhapura, Batticaloa, Galle, Kandy, Nuwara Eliya and Ratnapura districts. The department requests the public to stay indoors and to be hydrated during this dry time. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. We continue with more local news. The general debate on the prevailing situation of the country was held in the House today. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa said that the government should provide solutions to the hardships faced by the public. He further accused that the Aswasama welfare scheme is a failure. Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva said the Parliament holds the authority to handle the financial administration of the country. Just being an independent body is not entitled to administer finance. The central bank is accountable for the Parliament. The minister further emphasized that the salary hike of the central bank employees is not acceptable under the prevailing circumstances. MP Harini Amarasuriya joined the debate, saying that the public should understand the political crisis underneath the prevailing economic crisis. Otherwise, they will make the same mistake they have been committing since the past. MP Mahindananda Alutgamage said that mere popular topics in the political rallies will not be of use in the real world. The country requires a practical approach to overcome the issues at hand. He further added that carrying out practical work in real world is easier said than done. A special medical team of the World Health Organization specializing in leprosy is scheduled to travel to Sri Lanka in March. According to the anti-leprosy campaign, the World Health Organization will be helping the local authorities to create a roadmap to eliminate leprosy from Sri Lanka over the next 10 years. Speaking further, the director of the anti-leprosy campaign, Dr. Prasanth Ranavira, said the number of leprosy patients found in Sri Lanka has significantly increased. A comprehensive program has already been initiated to eliminate leprosy from Sri Lanka. The team of specialists from the WHO intends to create a roadmap to eradicate leprosy within the next decade. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. Rear Admiral Pradeep Ratnayaka has been appointed the Chief of Staff of the Sri Lanka Navy. The appointment was made by President Ranil Wickremesinghe and retrospectively comes into effect from the 16th of January. Navy Commander Vice Admiral Priyantha Pereira formally handed over the letter of appointment to Rear Admiral Ratnayaka at the Navy headquarters today. Rear Admiral Ratnayaka, educated at St. Thomas's College in Matale, had joined the Navy in 1987 as an officer cadet of the 17th intake in the executive branch. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, a government notification has been issued increasing the special commodity levy imposed on several items including black grams, green grams and cowpeas. As such, the special commodity levy on black grams have been increased to 300 rupees per kilogram. Meanwhile, the tax on green grams, cowpea, kurakan, others and millet seeds and millet has been raised from 70 rupees to 300 rupees. In addition, a special commodity levy of 25 rupees is in place on maize. The communique issued by President Ranil Wickremesinghe says the order is valid from February 20th of 2024 through December 31st of 2024. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
First, the headlines of the world news. The ICJ hearings on Israel's occupation of Palestine continued for the third consecutive day. India police fires tear gas at protesting farmers on Delhi march. The French premier promises new price law to appease angry farmers. Now the world news in detail. The ICJ hearings on Israel's occupation of Palestine continue for the third day. Representatives of Colombia, Cuba and Egypt will address the courts today. The 15-judge panel is asked to review Israel's occupation, settlement and annexation, as well as policies aimed at altering the demographic composition, character and status of the holy city of Jerusalem. The 6-day hearing are based on the request by the UN General Assembly for a non-binding advisory opinion on the legality of Israel's policies in the occupied Palestinian territories. However, Israel is not taking part in this week's oral arguments. Police in India have fired tear gas on protesting farmers who have resumed their march on capital Delhi after 4 rounds of talks with the federal government failed to end the deadlock. The farmers, who are demanding assured prices for their crops, say they are prepared within months of supplies. Delhi's borders have been fortified with several layers of barricades and barbed wire to stop their entry. But protesters have warned they would use heavy machinery to push through. Visuals showed thousands of farmers preparing to push past barriers using bulldozers and earth movers. Back to the headlines of the world news. The ICJ hearings on Israel's occupation of Palestine continue for the third consecutive day. India police fires tear gas at protesting farmers on Delhi march. The French Premier promises new price law to appease angry farmers. And that was world news. Moving on to development news. Thailand's national carrier Thai Airways has announced their resumption of direct flight services to Colombo. Flights are being scheduled to commence from the 31st of March, incoming and depart on the 1st of April. The route will operate daily flights with an early morning departure out from Colombo, arriving in Bangkok in the morning hours itself, enabling tourists to gain more time in their respective travelling destination. The operation of Thai Airways marks its re-entry to the Sri Lankan market after 3 years of absence due to the unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic and brief 20-day operation directly into the Sri Lankan economic issue during May last year and the lack of fuel. And that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
In sports news, it's cricket, bringing together cricketing legends from around the world for the first time to Sri Lanka. The Legends Cricket Trophy 2024 is slated to begin on the 8th of March at the Pallekele Stadium in Kandy. Played over 14 days, 7 teams encompassing retired cricketers will wheel their willows to vie for the trophy after a highly successful debut tournament held in Delhi last year. Founded by LCT T20 League Private Limited, legends from Pakistan, India, West Indies, Australia, England, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Afghanistan will be drafted into the teams. This was mentioned at the drafting of the players into the 7 teams and unveiling of the trophy jersey, which took place at the Hilton, Colombo recently. And that was sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීර හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, the certificate award ceremony of the Kalani Savia program for the students who completed the 11th batch of Kalani Savia program was held recently at the Faculty of Engineering, University of Peradeniya. 28 students who completed the Kalani Savia program received certificates from the acting Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීර හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, Minister Mahinda Amaravira was appointed as the chairman of the 37th Asia-Pacific Conference of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization for the next 2 years, said that Sri Lanka should look at modernizing the agriculture sector as it could become a very highly forex earner and also help towards food security. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we move on to the weather report. Showers or thunder showers may occur at few places in the Kalatara, Gaul, Pantara, Ratnapura and Nuwara districts in the evening or at night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the central and Sabaragama provinces during the morning. And that was the weather report. Now to conclude this news bulletin, a recap of the main news headlines. Iranian Foreign Minister discusses Persian Gulf's crucial role in broader Indian Ocean security with the President. International Mother Language Day is celebrated. A heat advisory is issued for 6 districts of the island. The opposition leader says that the Aswasma welfare scheme is a failure. A special medical team is to visit the island in order to support eliminating leprosy. In foreign news, the ICJ hearings on Israel's occupation of Palestine continue for the 3rd consecutive day. In sports, it's cricket. Legends Cricket Trophy 2024 is to be held in Sri Lanka. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.